Hello everybody, and welcome to the Unreal Engine 5 Horror Game Tutorials Part 5. Um, so, it's a simple scene set up in front of you which I'll show you how to create, and I'll give you a quick demonstration of how it plays out, and then I'll go through how to set up each part individually and then connect it all together to create a bit more of a horror experience for the player. So let me just jump into game. I'll go quiet for a second and quickly just play through this short demo. Okay, so you saw quite a few things go on there. There's a few little triggers and events being activated, deactivated, but the main thing is that even though there's a lot going on, it's not going to cost a lot in performance for the gameplay. It's quite simple to set up. It's yeah, so we'll run through how to do that now. I'll quickly show you the code and how it's laid out. So it might look complicated if you're new to Unreal, but a lot of this is just copy and paste, and it's not as crazy as it looks. So with the lightning and the thunder, it's a simple case of setting up a custom event, and now to do that you would create a custom event, which is this one here. And then you'd name that to whatever you want. So let's say tutorial, because why not, eh? So we have our tutorial event. I've still got a bit of a cough as well, so I apologise if I keep coughing during recording. Every time I talk I cough, so it's kind of a no-win situation for me. But so in the editor here in our level blueprint, now to get to that, we want to go up here to list of world blueprints, and we're going to open up our level blueprint, which is this one, and then we'll run through everything as detailed as I can, try and keep the video as short as possible, but in order for me to explain it, I will have to rant on a little bit, but I'll try not to overcomplicate things. So we've created our custom event node, which is right click, and then you put add custom event here, and then it'll give you this node. So we can do anything on here, and then we can call that, and to call that as a function, so you can see here, this is the custom one that I created at this end. So we have our tutorial one, and to call that you just put call function and then tutorial, and then we'll have this. So whatever you set up connected to this node, this will basically be this code, and if you call that on like event begin play or event tick, so event begin play is when you play the game, you could set a delay of 10 seconds, and then after 10 seconds, when the game starts, it will call this line of code. So this could be anything from just play sound application. So I'll show you an example, and then let's say laugh. Let's just do that one for the hell of it. So this is actually set up now, and that should in theory work. Let's just check. Yeah, so we've got a custom event, which is this on event begin play. So when you start the game, after exactly 10 seconds, it'll play this custom event, which will be this. So let's compile that, and I'll show you how that works. So we wait 10 seconds, and then we should have laughter in the background. Okay, so that's how you use a custom event. That's how simple it is. So on this one, on this custom event, so when you see the mannequin appear, that's literally just, I think if you've seen my other videos, it will help to kind of understand what I'm explaining in these, because it's part 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and I'll go over different details in those videos in regards to these kinds of nodes and setting visibility. But just for anybody who's new or watching only this video, so a set visibility node will enable it to render in game. So if you have it checked true or false, because it's a boolean, so a boolean will always be yes or no. Yes, it's visible, or no, it's not. True, it's visible. False, it's not. So as the player walks, so we'll show you down here, trigger custom event. So as the player walks through the trigger box, we know that the clock plays a tone, so it detects the player. It'll do that once, so it can only fire the code off once, because that's a do once node. We can reset this node with, at the end we could reset, but we don't want it to. There's no point. You could have other things reset it, like maybe like a timer. You can activate a timer, and you've got to get to a door before the timer runs out. As the timer runs out, the door will close, and then it resets the line of code, so you can start again and try and get to the door on time, if that makes sense. So we have our do once into a delay of 0.2 seconds. So this value here is in seconds, so that's 0.2. And then we have our play sound, which is the clock chime that you heard at the start when I was showing the short demo. And then we have a delay of 2 seconds, and then it calls this line of code here. So that's our call function, this one here. Excuse me. So that, 1 second. Right, okay, so that's our call function. So our call function is only going to play once, and that's because of this. So the lightning will play, it will set the mesh, the mannequin, to visible, and then we have our spotlights, which is, I'll show you them. They are just outside here. I've got 1, 2 and 3. And they're shining through the window to create the simulate the effect of lightning, which is these ones. Because they're highlighted in the scene, I can right click, and then if I scroll down, we can create reference to 3 selected actors, which is how I did this bit. It's where we can control the intensity and enable them or disable them. So to disable them, just set the intensity to 0, which is how I've done that here. So the light flashes on, and just get rid of these. Light flashes on, intensity set to 100, which is this value here. So if I set that to a 100, and we can see there on the walls shining through the trees, and over here as well. simulating the lightning flashing. Excuse me. There's going to be a lot of that in the video, I apologise. So let's go back into our level blueprint. So to simulate the flashing, we set that to 100. 0.3 seconds later, we then set the mannequin to invisible because there's no light source, and then we set the intensity of the lights to 0. 0.5 seconds later, we're copying and pasting that first one. So selecting, drag and drop, basically. Control C, Control V. Over here, we have it 100. Mannequin is visible. And then 0.3 seconds later, mannequin invisible, and light intensity to 0. So we're having a delay. I know when the comments said that the lightning was the audio didn't match with the flash. Now obviously in reality the lightning does usually come first because it's light and light travels faster than sound, but depending on how close the thunderstorm is, obviously it would have a different effect on how fast you hear the audio. So you can simulate that here by having a random floating range connected to a delay. So I've adjusted this now so it's at 0.5. Oops. To a maximum of 2-second delay with our thunder sounds. And then at the end to create a loop, so it will continue to fire the code. We'll call its function on itself. So this small node is this entire line of code, and we repeat that function or that code by calling it at the end, because then it will refire this code off. So it creates like an infinite loop, and in order to break that loop we have to add a branch. So the importance of this means that if we wanted a phone to ring continuously for the player, so let's say we called an event, so there's a dark corridor and the phone rings, it's lit up on a table. If you call the event, you have to have some way of triggering that to go off, otherwise it will just continue and continue and continue. So a good way to do that is to set up a branch, which means that every time this function gets called, when this code's finished and it gets to play sound, it will then recheck if this boolean branch we've got set up here, which is in this variable. So we click and then you type actor destroyed or object gone, object vanish, object no longer exists, whatever you want to write there, you know, cup of tea and 2 biscuits, literally anything. So we put actor destroyed with a question mark because we know this is a question, and it's just a little bit easier to understand what we're trying to refer to. So this is going to see if that mannequin still exists in the world, which is this one. And how that works, this is going to question, is the actor destroyed? No. Then that's false, so it can continue to fire off this line of code. If the actor is destroyed and it's true, do nothing. So then it breaks the loop. I hope that makes sense. So this basically stops and pauses anything happening if the branch reads true. So this is 2 potential paths. It locks this one and it opens this one, and then nothing can happen because there's no code connected to it. To do that, we needed another trigger box, which was, we can see one. Let me get rid of them lights there. So we can see this one here, which is trigger clock. Now that one is this one, and if we go into the scene and we go across to this side, this is the cutoff point for the player, and this will destroy actor trigger. So to get these, it's here, all classes, and then just type trigger, and then you can grab, drag and drop a trigger box and then you highlight it so it's orange. You go to open up your level blueprint, and then you right click, add event and trigger box, collision, add on actor begin overlap, and then it takes us to the box that we already added in. So we want to cast to first person character because it's a first person game, and then we want to do once because we only want to do it once, and then this is the important part here. So we have our destroy actor command. To do that, we can just go up where we had our mannequin, and then we can copy and paste that here, and then out of that it's destroy actor, which you can see under the actors tab here, and we have the destroy actor node. So this will completely take this object completely out of existence in the game. He won't exist anymore, but we need to let the game know that this has happened. So what we do is we get our actor destroyed. Let's get rid of that. We drag over our destroy actor, drop, and now we're setting the value for this variable as true because the actor's gone, so that means it's true. Is the actor destroyed? Question mark. Yes. So we've set that here. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments below, and if you got any questions I'll answer them. So let's move on. We heard that played that scary breathing sound. I named it. Let's see, where is it? Which was this one. When the actor disappeared, to give us a bit of a sound cue so I knew it happened. You don't have to add that, that's just so we know it's worked. So this is being called here as a true, so we've set that value to true, and then when it goes to call this function, the custom event that we created, which is this line of code here, all of this, we restart that code, but now we know that this actor destroyed is true, so it's not false, so it can't do this code anymore. So this terminates being able to work, so it stops the lightning, stops the flashing, and it won't ever play it again because the actor's gone. So it can't because of the branch, which is just a branch, or you can hold B and left click to get a branch. So B on the keyboard, B for Bravo, and then left click mouse. Quick way of getting branch. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If you can start to learn how to connect events together, audio, lighting, you can have really, I mean, this isn't professional by any means, but it's just something quick I threw together to try and help people learn. So it's not overly complicated. I'm not sure how many people struggle with texturing. They're probably using these. It's a habit that you really should try and get out of, using the default cubes, which is designed for blocking out your levels, which is kind of like a concept process. What you could do is go up to edit, go to plugins, and then in plugins you want to type model, scroll down until you see Modeling Tools Editor Mode. Click that little checkbox. Close. It might ask you to restart, so make sure you save your progress. You can click here, save what you need to, or click here or here. Save your progress first, and then get into the habit of going up to here now that you've got modeling enabled, and then use these boxes and objects, spheres, cylinders, cones. The reason being is because when you start creating things like Boolean objects, which is how I did this wall with the holes for the window frames, you can't really edit these because they're default built-in engine shapes, but you can do what you want with these ones. You can alter them. If you've noticed as well, they have their UV blocking on to show you the texture UV, and you've probably noticed as well that if you've ever applied, I'll show you the difference. Let's drag a cube in. If you can see, this is for UV, so you can unwrap your UVs and you can see how it'll look. This has just got the default basic shape texture. But you can't alter, let's say you want to make a door. So if you make a door shape, like a cupboard or a door, you can't alter the pivot point, which is in the transform under the modeling. So go to modeling, go to pivot, and then you'll see an error message pop up. Cannot modify built-in engine assets. So try not to use these in your game. Try and make sure you're always using these from your modeling tools. There's another reason why is because if we add a texture, so let's say tiles, if we want to change the density of the UV and how the tiling works, you can't, as far as I'm aware, let's check the box, auto fit align. There you go. Cannot modify built-in engine asset because you'll end up with stretched textures. So I see in a lot of games, especially people that are new to creating games, is that they do this a lot and then they can't quite understand why they'll try and kind of manipulate the block until they get the right size. But if you, let's get rid of that because it's annoying me. Right, so if you add textures to, let's say this wallpaper, and let's open this up and drop. So if you add a texture to the modeling box, so you go to your modeling mode and add a box, you've now got the ability to change the pivot point, and it will keep it there. And you've also got the ability to control the UV and tiling. So let's do auto and then let's default that. We can then change the tiling to exactly how we want it to be, and then when we click accept, no warning message. It treats each one of these individually. Doesn't, it gives you a bit more of a realistic outcome for your wallpapers, textures. So it's a good tip when it comes to level designing, especially within Unreal, if you're not using things like Blender to create objects, and then texture painting, UV editing and shading and stuff. So yeah, it's just a little tip for everybody. But I hope this makes sense. I hope you've learned something at least from this video. I apologise about the delay, but yeah, that'll be it for this one. But I'll get another one posted up soon, hopefully when I'm feeling a bit better. But yeah, thanks for watching. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.